Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome back to the Fever Pitch Podcast. I'm your co-host Brian.
Well, Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. A lot has been happening in the sports world, but a lot has been happening in the culture. Just to begin with, before we even talk about any sports, let's talk about this Drake Kendrick beef going on right now. If you guys don't know, Dan is a rap professional. He's an analyst of culture, to put simply. And I wanted to hear his thoughts of this beef because so far we've heard a lot of tracks, but I'm not gonna explain too much. I'm gonna let you explain that and talk to us.
Um, remember when Pacquiao and Mayweather finally fought?
Yeah,
And even though it probably should have happened a couple years ago, when it happened, it still did numbers.
yeah,
This is that. Um, Drake and Kendrick have been sending subtle jazz for about a decade now. So this is an ongoing rivalry. Well, rivalry, friendly rivalry for about 10, 11 years now. And I don't know what set it off for the gloves to come off, no pun intended, but it's gotten very not so friendly to say the least. Like I said, there's been subtle jazz here and there in the early 2010s, but most recently following a drop on For All the Dogs with Drake and J. Cole. They collaborated and dropped the first person shooter, which is a decent song. And then months later, Kendrick dropped on Future's album Retro, had some bars of song like that. And that kind of set the tone from there. Drake responded with a diss track of his own, and Kendrick was quiet for about 11 days. And now, like I said, the gloves are off. There's been diss tracks galore throughout the course of this week. Most recently, Kendrick Lamar dropped us 2 tracks or 3 tracks within like a 48-hour span, starting with Euphoria and then 616 in LA and most recently Meet the Grams. Drake also dropped a couple of diss tracks of his own. Um, it's still fresh on my mind, so I can't get too deep into it, but the feeling is restored for sure.
yeah. Rap is very much alive and beating right along. Um, my biggest question for you, and you might not have a decisive answer right now. Who do you think is winning this rap beef thing right now?
Yeah, it's hard for me to identify a clear cut winner, but if I would say it's like a 10-8 on the scorecards. We're
Mm,
going into round, I guess this is round 4,
mm,
and it's a 10-8 right now.
mm.
So it's very close in my opinion.
Wait, but who do you have up?
My bias is gonna speak out. I got Kendrick, but Drake is fighting. I'll say that much. I'll say that for as of right now.
Yeah, no, I would definitely have Kendrick up as well. There's a reason they call him Kung Fu Kenny, Mr. Morale. And the craziest, this is probably the last thing I'll highlight. The craziest part for me is he's not just dropping music to drop music. There's like actual meaningful lessons in some of these diss tracks, like the Meet the Grams. He's talking about how to be a better father, own your responsibilities, and he's offering mentorship to the youth.
It's it's a lot going on. Um, yeah, it's like for because Euphoria was like a song. I feel like there's some shots there, but that was more like on the music tip. These last two are just like character assassinations,
Yeah.
and like I said, Drake has dropped four of his own. He dropped push ups. He dropped the Taylor Made freestyle with the Snoop and AI. I mean the Snoop and Tupac AI, and now he dropped. What's the name of this song you just dropped today
Meet
or
the
a few minutes
Grams.
ago? No, that was Kendrick. But Drake dropped something a few minutes
Uh,
ago.
it was like, let me see.
Family Matters.
Yes.
And from there, In response to family matters, Kendrick Lamar dropped Meet the Grind. So it's a lot of like counter punching, counter writing, and Kendrick has alluded to a mole being in Drake's camp, and it's looking a lot more true with all these different aspects of this rivalry.
Yeah, well said. Um, this is really our first time really like diving into rap. If you guys like to hear us talk more about rap, we can definitely do a deep dive on this in the future because I'm sure more is gonna come out. I'm sure
Oh
this is just
yeah,
the beginning. Um, but yeah, let's
I
get
will
in.
say I will say rap is a sport. We just don't cover it here, but
Yeah,
it is indeed a sport.
yeah. Let's talk about some people who are throwing some hands. Let's talk about Ryan Garcia
mm,
versus Devin Haney.
you
Talk to me.
good. You good. You know that. So recently, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney got into a bout of their own in about a week or so ago, where Garcia got the knockout victory over Devin Haney. But it has since been reported that he's tested positive for PEDs, particularly ostarine. The sample came back positive right before the bout. And obviously, Garcia has denied this. There's a lot to unpack with that. But I'm not too familiar with ostarine. Brian, our resident medical professional in the making, could probably give you a little more information.
Yeah, so I looked into it a little bit, and per WebMD, so a PED is a performance enhancing drug, and ostarine in particular is a SARM. It's a selective androgen receptor modulator. It essentially allows you to build muscle easier and to burn fat more efficiently. Um, and it's banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency and the NCAA. And the thing that's a little tricky is that in some dietary supplements, ostarine is still found, and honestly, it might not be reported as something that's contained in some of these supplements. So that's where
Mm,
it's kind of murky waters. Where I don't think Devin Haney, no, what's his name,
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia would intentionally try to take performance enhancing drugs or anything of that nature, but he may have gotten something from his camp that they told him to take for however many weeks, because to the typical period somebody's taking this is 12 to 16 weeks. So, and I'm pretty sure how far ahead was this fight forecasted? A few months, right?
Yeah, the sample came back positive the day before, so I'm sure he's been training and preparing for a couple of months
Yeah.
now. To provide you a direct quote from Garcia, I don't give a expletive. What people say about me, I walked through the fire and still held it down and still beat expletive Devin Haney and still drink every day.
Mm.
Not necessarily am I proud of that, but I'm just saying it was a statement to show you guys can't really expletive with me.
Yeah, so I guess where it's like, did Devin Haney really lose? It's like, okay, if this guy was taking performance enhancing drugs and he beat the snot out of him, it's like, okay, you were drinking every day and you're flexing and you're doing all this stuff, but it's like, if you're taking performance enhancing drugs, you're quite literally cheating. So,
Indeed.
don't talk about what you were doing in your camp if you were taking PEDs at the same time. It doesn't matter because you quite literally tip the scale your way and you bet on yourself too. Like,
Indeed.
yeah.
It's
I,
it's very interesting to say the least. Shady business for sure.
yeah, I hope that the situation gets resolved, but I don't really know what the boxing world does in these type of situations. Do you have any insight?
I believe they would nullify the belt,
Mm-hmm.
maybe revoke some of the purse.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, to kind of dive deeper, he didn't make weight, so it was a non-title fight already. So this kind of adds into some of the question marks in the bout itself. It's a potentially a ban because in times past, Lucian Boot used ostarine in 2016, and the initial DQ was changed to a win for Badu Jack, who was his opponent, and also Amir Khan was banned for 2 years after he tested positive for ostarine. So the ramifications vary, but I'm sure there's a lot of serious penalty for the use of this supplement.
So not only could he get in trouble, lose the win, lose the money, he could also be banned from boxing, which he would be losing his livelihood for a few years because that's what the precedent is. I really hope he didn't do
But
this. Yeah.
yes, De La Hoya, legendary boxer who's taking Garcia under his wing, has said that he's working with Ryan Garcia's team to determine how this finding came to be.
Hmm.
Ryan has put out multiple statements denying knowingly using any banned substances, and we believe him.
I think Ryan Garcia's best thing to do in this case is to not say anything. Let's figure out what's going on. Social media can probably work against you in this type of situation. Like,
Indeed.
you're playing with your livelihood, so don't play with fire. You know. Um.
And they get unchy.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna get unchy. Things are picking up for sure. But speaking of things picking up, the WNBA just started preseason today. Caitlin
Mm-hmm.
Clark played and Angel Reese played. Talk to me.
Yeah, we got some slight runs. Dallas Wings in the Indiana Fever. The Wings are a 3-point win. So despite all the hype and hysteria for Caitlin Clark being the number one overall pick, she started her WNBA career with the L.
Hey,
A close,
she was hooping though.
indeed. It was a close bout. Let me get the numbers for you. I just had them up earlier. 1 second. The Dallas Wings won by 3, 79-76, and in the preseason matchup. Caitlin Clark had a pretty decent stat line. I think she's still getting a feel for the game. She put up quite a few shots with a box score of 6 for 15. 13 of those 15 shots were beyond the arc, so she took a lot of threes. So it didn't really seem like she was, well, from my perspective, it seems like she's still trying to find her way as far as the WNBA is concerned, because she only had 2 assists. She had 21 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 turnovers. So I'm just saying, you're not in Iowa anymore. You're in Indiana. Things are a little different. And as we can see, as she's trying to get adjusted, it comes with the rule wake-up call at times. For the Dallas Wings, Arike Ogunbowale, I believe she hit a game winner in this matchup. That ended up getting the Dallas Wings the victory. She ended up with 19, 3, and 3. She was 1 for 7 for 3, but that one 3-pointer was the silent factor. So it was a good matchup for sure. It set the tone in my eye.
No, it definitely set the tone. The only thing that I think you're giving Caitlin Clark a lot of flag for is the fact that she didn't really, in my opinion, yes, she had 5 turnovers, but it's her first game and you dropped 21 points. I think this is a good start off trajectory to show where she's gonna go. In my opinion, I
I
don't
won't,
know.
I won't, I won't deny that. I won't deny that. You're making a good point. I'm just saying it's important to realize sometimes you need to modify your approach to the game to have uh, optimal success in a higher level of the game. And I think she's applying her Iowa. Well, this is what got her here. So it's hard for me to say don't do what you've been doing, because you gotta know whether it's gonna work long term.
Yeah, well said. I agree. And then let's talk about the other game. How did Angel Reese do?
Yeah, so the Chicago Sky and the Minnesota Lynx also matched up. The Lynx got an 11-point win. The primary focal point for the Chicago Sky were Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese. Cardoso actually came off the bench. She put up 6 points in 13 minutes, whereas Angel Reese, she couldn't really get any buckets from the field. She was 2 for 8, but she got that free throw on a lot. Uh, Hitting 9 out of 10. She finished for 13 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 1 block. So also 5 fouls. So very physical, very much getting her sea legs as well.
Yeah, well said. Um, the final score was 92-81, and the Chicago Sky lost this game. I think it's definitely going to be a bit of an adjustment period for these young ladies, but I think one thing stands for sure. It's the excitement and hype is already there for the WNBA. I was even looking at tickets for some WNBA games coming up, and there for the game versus the Indiana team versus the Mystics. They're not playing
Mm-hmm.
at their typical venue. They're playing at Capital One Arena, and they got some tickets going for like $3,000, 800 for middle of the stands, and nosebleeds in the 100 to 200 range, which is pretty typical of like a normal NBA game. So
Right.
that was that's good to see, and I like the trajectory. It looks like the WNBA
Yes,
is going to
indeed.
be a lot more profitable for the players and the whole association in general.
Yes, indeed. Big draw, big draw.
But keeping the tune on basketball, Darvin Ham got fired. What happened here?
For those of you who don't know, Darvin Ham was a former assistant for the Milwaukee Bucks who ended up taking the role as head coach of the Lakers in 2022. He shouldn't have got the job from get go, but he got it. He was on that championship Bucks coaching staff, and then eventually he, like I said, got the head coaching role for LA, where he finished with 2 playoff appearances. The first one ending up in the conference finals, where they lost, I believe, in 5 games to Denver, and then this past playoff bout where they lost in the first round to Denver again in 5 games. He had a better record, and he also won the in-season tournament. But now he's no longer coaching for the Lakers. It's hard for me to put all the blame on him, but I will say some of his decision making was quite questionable to say the least.
My main thing is, after 2 seasons, did he really get a fair chance?
LeBron's turning 41.
So they have to make something shake now. This isn't the time to be
Yes,
experimenting.
exactly.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't think he's a bad coach. Like you said, uh, he he did an okay job, and he was working with the assets that he had. Yes, LeBron is gonna get you 27 every night. AD is also out there, but some nights you have D'Angelo Russell getting 0 points. How,
If you look at if you look at the how it started, when they hired him, LeBron said he's so damn excited. And if you saw recently, he was almost about to jump over the bench and put hands on Darvin Ham because he wouldn't challenge that that out of bounds possession in one of the Denver games. It was pretty crazy out there. I think that's kind. I remember when I think LeBron was like, "Yeah, we're just out there having fun," and that was real cute. Like a dog whistle was like, "Yeah, we got to get this guy out of here," and that they did.
do you think he'll have a coaching job somewhere else in the league next season?
Potentially, I think he might be an assistant somewhere. I can't really pinpoint a particular location, but I think maybe Dallas because Jason Kidd. I think him and Jason Kidd have have some chemistry there. I could be wrong, but they might have crossed paths. But yeah, they didn't find the entire staff. So Darvin Ham and all his assistants got booted.
Whoa. So he had 2 more years on his contract, and what I think for coaches, it works as a player's contract. I think he still gets that money, right?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, so I mean he'll be doing just fine. But I think for him this is more about just having a job than getting money.
Yeah, I just find it interesting. The Lakers usually coaches last longer than the players do. So I think it's crazy because what is this? Luke Walton, Darvin Ham, Frank Vogel, all gone, and LeBron's still there. So the talks of JJ Redick potentially taking on that new coaching role for the Lakers. And we haven't really covered it much, but LeBron and JJ have a podcast of their own.
Mm.
Pretty good. I need to catch up on it. But imagine imagine your podcast co-host being your coach.
I would recommend that JJ Redick not take that job. If
Yes,
anything,
indeed.
it's like walking into a buzzsaw. Unless you're a seasoned
Indeed.
coach and you have plenty of experience, uh, you're not going to really be the coach. LeBron's going to be the coach, and you're just going to be on the side there. You're going to catch all the blame, but you're not going to be facilitating anything. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Becky Hammond, Teron Lue, or some other potential candidates that have been in the rumor mill.
I wouldn't be mad at Tyronn Lue. I wouldn't be mad at that. He's
Yeah,
he's he's worked with them in the past. It could be a fit
yeah.
because ultimately
One
it's
of my
about
new
who fits best with LeBron. Honestly,
that part.
yeah.
Also hearing talks of Kenny Atkinson, Terry Stotts, amongst others. Jason Kidd, amongst others. So, oh yeah, I also heard about Mike Budenholzer, and if Mike Budenholzer is the Lakers coach next year, I'm not covering the Lakers.
You're taking the Charger stance, huh?
Yes, because Mike Budenholzer is awful, so that's gonna be a waste of season.
Who? I remember him coaching for a team. Did he coach for the Pistons?
The Buck, no, he coached for the Bucks. He won a championship, but he's
Oh,
awful.
oh,
He's awful.
hmm.
Trust.
Okay. All right, let's talk about some more NBA related news. What's going on with Michael Porter Jr. and his family?
Oh, where do we begin? Well, Michael Porter Jr. may have a chance to repeat as an NBA champion. On the flip side, his brother, Jonte Porter, got banned from the NBA because he bet on himself. Like actually, he placed gambling wagers on himself, and he placed prop bets on himself
That's
and
illegal,
got
right?
banned. Indeed, he got the boot.
How did they find
So
out?
that's I believe there were reports from because I realized the league is partnered with all these gambling companies to monitor the players, and for some reason they didn't put two and two together. You think we're gonna just link up they're not at the ops? You think we're gonna do business with these people without any security? Like we know what we're doing, y'all don't. So I'm sure there was some means of data being reported by these gambling houses to Adam Silver and Co. And once they found out, Jonte Porter had to go.
Hmm.
I think he was like betting the unders on himself and like faking injuries and a whole bunch of stuff. It's crazy out here.
Oh, yeah. When you're betting the unders, you're just it's very controllable.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Um, mm-hmm.
like, what's the NBA's policy on gambling for players?
I'll get that for you. I'm sure you can gamble, just not on yourself.
Hmm. Could they
But
even bet on basketball?
let me get the official rules. Player Players are prohibited from betting on the NBA or any of its properties or wagering in any jurisdiction where that is illegal. So yeah, just don't bet on basketball.
Okay, they can still bet on football and stuff.
Right.
Because I believe what for the NFL, it's a little bit more strict. Like you can't bet on any sports during like.
I believe they don't let you gamble, period.
Mm,
But I think they've lowered the reins on that. Let's see. I'm about to sneeze. No, I'm not. Okay. Players can never place, solicit, or facilitate a bet either directly or through a third party on any NFL game, practice, or event such as the combine or the draft.
mm.
So I guess the NFL can bet on NBA games, but I'm not too sure if that's true because I would have to do more research.
Mm. But you mentioned the NFL. We got a lot to unpack about the NFL, guys. Let's just get into it. Let's unpack the NFL draft. So the first thing I want us to do is I'm gonna pull up a list of the first round, and I want you to give me like your 30-second thoughts on each pick, and yeah, on each pick of the first round. Okay, that work for you?
Yeah, let's get it.
All right, bet. Caleb Williams to the Bears.
Safe. As safe as you can get, as safe as you can get. The Panthers gift wrapped you a franchise quarterback when they were dumb enough to make that trade last year to get Bryce Young. Bryce Young still has potential, but he all could have just waited a year and took Caleb Williams. Heisman, well, they both on the Heisman, but if you look at Caleb Williams' profile, he was a far more better quarterback than Bryce Young was. And if you look at the situation he's going into, the Bears are already, I don't want to say they're stacked, but there's so much talent there. There's not much to worry about. Caleb Williams are gonna do just fine in Chicago.
All right, bet. Jaden Daniels to the Commanders.
I would say this was a little bit of the riskier pick. I thought they would take Drake May because his profile is a little more sustainable. But, another Heisman Trophy winner in Jane Daniels went to a Big Ten school. I mean, what's that MSU?
SEC.
SEC school. SEC school. And the competition in the SEC is a lot more formidable than the competition in the Big Ten. He's also a transfer coming from it. Yes, it is. He's also a
Big Ten just
transfer.
won the national championship.
Brother, Georgia,
Oh yeah,
LSU,
yeah, you're right. Never mind, never mind. I'm sorry. But I'd say
Alabama.
it's a lot closer than people think. That's what I'd say.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. So yeah, transferring from Arizona State to LSU and just putting on a historic Heisman season, kind of like Burrow did when he transferred from Ohio State to LSU. So the Commanders didn't want to force their hand and give up a bunch of capital to get the 1-on-1. So they got a pretty good consolation prize in Jalen Daniels at 102. So great pick.
Okay, I bet. Drake May to
I
the
would
Patriots.
I would say it's a match made in heaven because he just gives all Patriot vibes. They had Mac Jones wasn't it. He was pretty bad, and they finally were able to get in a position to actually get a get a actual prospect because Mac Jones. I don't know what Mac Jones was. It's a new regime. It's a new era in New England, and Drake May is the captain of that ship. And I think the upside is there. They added a lot of pieces in the offseason and through the draft, so it should look good. It should look good.
Okay, Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals.
Easy. Stay still and get my $230 million quarterback, the best wide receiver in the draft class. So that's what we're gonna do. Very, very easy. Very, very, very easy.
Okay, Joe Alt to the Chargers.
Well, you get some protection for the so-called crown jewel, so get get a generational offensive lineman, and you should be okay.
Mal-
Sorry that.
Malik Neighbors to the Giants.
If they believe in Daniel Jones, getting some more weapons, or maybe you're building for your QB of the future. Maybe you should do Sanders next year. Either way, I like the pick. The last LSU wide receiver y'all took was Odell, and I think he was also a top 6 pick. I could be making that up, but hey, it worked the first time. Why not try it again? You know,
J.C. Latham to the Titans.
get some protection for Will Levis. So why don't you give a top tier lineman to protect your franchise quarterback? Makes all the sense in the world.
Michael Penix to the Atlanta Falcons. QB.
A shocker. I'm surprised they did this, knowing that they just paid Kirk Cousins. I guess you're building for the future, so then you got Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Michael Penix will eventually, I don't know when, but eventually we could be getting some action with these gentlemen. So I like it in theory, but I feel like if you're gonna pick Kirk Cousins, this pick was kind of wasted. You could have traded back and did this, honestly.
Rome Odunze to the Chicago Bears.
Once again, it's a great pick there. You add Roman Dunze to DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet. The Bears are going to be a playoff team, and it's hard for me to expect otherwise because they have a really good roster right now.
That's fair. J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings.
Great pick. I would say that JJ McCarthy played his way into the top 10. I think Jim Harbaugh may have added some gas in that tank a little bit as well, but for a rightful reasoning. You move all Kirk Cousins, you get a new future, you get a new face of the franchise. You add JJ to Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and the other JJ, Justin Jefferson. Y'all got to pay him, by the way. If y'all do that, I think the future is bright.
Oluwamaiwa Fashanu to the Jets.
The heart and soul of any team is your O line and your D line. So you take an offensive lineman who is very, very talented. You trade up, by the way, and you give a very solid offensive lineman to protect Aaron Rodgers now and potentially Jordan Travis in the future. So things are looking up.
Well said. Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos.
They were in need of a QB. You know what's funny? Bo Nix's pro comp is Dak Prescott. No wonder they likes him. They were in need of a QB. He was a 5th-ranked QB in the draft class, and even though he had a 2nd-round grade, it was a need that they had to address, and they addressed it. So you had to commend them there.
Yeah, well said. Brock Bowers to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Interesting pick to say the least. I think obviously he was the best tight end in the class, elite blocker, elite route runner. So I'm sure he's gonna have a impact on the offense immediately. Also, they took a tight end last year, and Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. So maybe they're trying to cook up a 2 tight end offense, which should suggest a lot of running the ball potentially. But the fact that they didn't trade out for a quarterback or even take a quarterback at 13, they probably have some faith in Aiden O'Connell. So from there, we should be looking at what he can do as a full season as a starter, because the only other QBs on that roster are Gardner Minshew and somebody who's not memorable right now, if anybody. So that should tell you that should tell you enough there.
Tylese Fuaga to the New Orleans Saints.
Get your offensive lineman a great run blocker. Their O line has been suffering injuries. Teron Armstead left a couple of years ago, and the current state of the O line wasn't the best. So you add an elite run blocker and pass blocker to bolster up that O line, protect your quarterback, protect your running back as well. So you can't really go wrong there.
Laitu Latu to the Colts.
Great pick, great pass rusher. I saw a lot of his film at the UCLA. I like that pick. Pairing him up with I always get this mixed up. doesn't could he pay? And the Colts D line is actually kind of mean, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. So yeah, I think their defense is just getting better with each pick. So adding Right was very very good decision.
Byron Murphy the second to the Seahawks.
In a similar token, the Seahawks they were building on their secondary, and some have said that their O line needed some help, but they also realized that they can address the need of their D line as well. Got the best D tackle in the class, so when you got that type of value there, it's kind of hard not to be appreciative of what you can get. He's been compared to the likes of Justin Madubuike. So if he had that impact for Seattle, everything is everything is looking up.
Yeah, well said. Dallas Turner to the Vikings.
So I'm actually surprised he fell to 17. I thought he was going to be somewhere in the eight to, 8 to 14 range, but nonetheless, the Vikings got a steal. He is a great elite pass rusher with game changing speed. I like the pick there, and he should bolster up their defense for sure.
Well said. Well said. Uh, Amarius Mims to the Bengals.
You just paid Joe Burrow a lot of money, give him some protection. So that's why. So that's just like what they did.
Um, Jared Verse to the Rams.
Aaron Donald just retired. We're in a new era, and obviously with the absence of Aaron Donald, your pass rush, your run stuff, it takes a hit. So why don't you get an elite pass rusher in Jared Verse?
Troy.
Funny enough, this is the Rams' first round pick in a while, so it's quite evident that they have a lot of faith in Jared Verse because they haven't had the first round pick in some time following that trade with Detroit. So
Well said. Troy Fuatanu to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
gives some protection for Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, whoever your future is. Gotta protect that. You gotta protect him. Bolstering at that O line is always a good aspect of Steelers football. So can't be mad at it. Second best guard in the class. So good value there.
Chop Robinson to the Miami Dolphins.
I thought this was a really good pick. I told you the Dolphins were making a lot of sneaky moves, and they got some pass rush help to complement Jalen Phillips. I think that's great. So that's a duo that I'd be worried about if I was a quarterback, Jalen Phillips and Chop Robinson, especially with Jalen Phillips is recovering from the Achilles tear. So Chop Robinson can kind of get a little more opportunity to make an impact on the game. And when Jalen Phillips is healthy, seeing that duo in action, that's going to be something for sure.
Quinion Mitchell to the Eagles.
We got the best corner in the draft at 22. We're at 4.33. So second fastest 40-yard dash.
That boy got some
So
speed
yeah,
on him.
it was a great pick. James Bradbury was the DB before. He's terrible. He's like really not good at playing defense. So to go from Quinion Mitchell to Bradbury is a major upgrade. So that should help the defense for sure.
Brian Thomas Jr. to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They traded up. Fourth best receiver in the draft class. Obviously, they signed Gabe Davis. He's not good at football. Calvin Ridley, Gabe Davis is not good at football. Calvin Ridley left, so that opened up the opportunity to get Trevor Lawrence some more weapons, and that's what they did, pairing Brian Thomas with Evan Ingram and I guess Gabe Davis, also Christian Kirk. So very good pick there.
Wait, why are you saying Gabe Davis isn't good at football?
He stinks. He stinks.
Where's this coming from?
If you look at Gabe Davis on a week to week basis, you will realize that he stinks.
On a week to week basis, you realize he stinks.
Yes.
I mean, hey, I guess we'll dive deeper into that later. We'll circle back to
Sure.
that comment. Um,
Sure.
Terrion Arnold to the Detroit Lions.
The Lions took Jeff Okuda some years ago as like a top five pick. He unfortunately didn't pan out in Detroit, so they kind of got a second opportunity to get an elite corner this time at 20. Second best corner in the draft class. And it's viewed as a steal, and I would agree. I think it's a great pick.
Jordan Morgan to the Packers.
The best thing exactly what they did. So you can't really fault the Packers for taking this pick here. The best tackle in the class. You gotta take your chances. So I'm not mad at it.
Uh, Graham Barton to the Buccaneers.
Can't really assess centers because they're centers, but he's viewed as the he's viewed as the number one center in the draft class, so that's value there. So good pick.
I disagree. You can assess centers. You remember Tyler Linderbaum?
Okay.
I knew he was going to be a stud.
Oh, okay. Well, I think they win that. I think he was a late first round pick as well. So the value is there.
Yeah. Darius Robinson to the Cardinals.
He went a 4.95. So I'm sure that maybe took a hit. His draft stock probably took a hit from there. But
Wait,
despite that,
4.95.
yeah.
That's pretty slow.
Yeah, I say his draft stock took a hit.
Hmm.
Probably so he probably could have probably boosted up his value there if he ran a better 40 time, but regardless, 6'5", 285. He's the fifth ranked edge rusher in this class.
Oh, that's why he's 285. He's beast.
Yes. So I'm sure this is about the range he was expected to go in. And, adding him to the D line with the other free agency signings, that pass rush is in a good spot.
Yeah. Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs.
Well, when you win the fastest 40 time ever, that kind of helps you. And you also get to play with Patrick Mahomes. They traded up to take Xavier Worthy here, and I think it was a great pick. I saw his film. He is being comped to the rest of Deshaun Jackson, and I feel like that's a really good comparison for him. And especially playing with Patrick Mahomes, probably utilize him in a similar fashion to how they use Tyreek Hill. Obviously, the athletic profile is not a 1-to-1, but first round draft capital, fastest 40 time. Things are looking up. Things are looking up.
Tyler Guyton to the Dallas Cowboys.
Seventh best offensive tackle in the class, being compared to the likes of Lane Johnson. So that's big shoes to try and step into. He's raw as a prospect. He was initially a tight end. He transitioned from tight end to offensive lineman. So
Really?
that should be interesting. Yeah,
Huh.
that should be interesting. I'm sure he'll have a lot of welcome to the NFL moments, but the ability to adjust and adapt is clear. So I'm sure he'll adapt fast to the NFL, and things should be looking up.
Nate Wiggins to the Ravens.
Great DB, great DB, fourth best corner in this class. He ran a great 40 time, despite I think he had a hamstring injury, but he still ran a 4.28 nonetheless. Very good frame at 6'1", 173, being compared to DRC, Dominic Rogers-Cromartie. This is about the range he was expected to go in, so you gotta love that pick.
Xavier Legette to the Carolina Panthers.
That was pick 32, but before that, Ricky Pearsall
Oh yeah, my fault.
was drafted by San Fran. And this hurt me because I thought he was a fault to the second round. But he's well deserving of first round capital. He's a super athlete. If you saw him at 4 years, he made a lot of athletic catches, and his route running and his concentration was really a major point for this offense. The Niners don't really know what they're doing with that Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. They got to pay both of them. So even though they claim that that's still the mission, you get some insurance to Ricky Pearsall, and I think is a really good pick. You give Brock Purdy another weapon.
Xavier Leggett to the Carolina Panthers.
So the Panthers traded up for this pick, and they essentially just drafted a carbon copy of somebody they already had in Jonathan Mingo. I think Xavier Leggett has a somewhat better profile than Jonathan Mingo does, but they're similar. They're very similar nonetheless. He had a good 40 time at 4.39, and he's built country strong, so he should fit right in at Carolina. Coming out of South Carolina, going to Carolina, so the transition shouldn't be too hard for him.
Why did the Panthers have the last pick in the first round and they stunk? Oh wait, they traded. I know they traded a lot of stuff
Yeah,
to the Bears, but still, you know.
they traded back in. They traded back into the first round.
Mm.
So they traded the bill. They made a deal with the Bills where they traded one spot up. So they had the first pick in the second round. They traded into the first round and exchanged day three picks or day two picks.
Hmm. Yeah, it looks like they had
So
one pick in each round.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so let's talk overall winners and losers for each team. Who do you think are the winners and losers of this draft? Let's talk about it.
On the micro scale, the Colts, the Broncos, the Steelers, I would say they made very quiet moves that are going to have lasting impact on their franchise. And then on the macro scale, I would say the Bears, the Commanders, the Broncos. Obviously, if you take a QE, it does that's the idea is the idea is he's in the state of franchise. So these are all teams that took QBs. The Cardinals, they got Marvin Harrison Jr., so you give Kyler Murray, you got another weapon for Kyler Murray. And also the Bengals, they had a really good draft. I think they made a lot of useful picks. So I'll tip my cap there. And then Philly always drafts pretty well, so no surprise there either.
Honestly, I would go as far to say that the Commanders are a playoff team now as well.
All right. I'll let you say that now.
What, you disagree?
I think it's too early to tell.
I mean, let's look at it. Jaden Daniels, whose player comp is Lamar Jackson. Come on.
Yes.
What are we talking about? You have a solid running back. The only thing that I can think about is how are they going to piece up this O line? But you've gotten the weapons for your offense, and you have some defensive weapons still remaining as well. After they kind of blew up everything, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make it into the wild card round this season.
Hey, Godspeed. Salute.
Okay, so my so who do you think are the losers of this draft?
The Browns. The Browns stuck it up pretty bad. As you know, they traded a lot of their capital to Houston. They also traded some capital to Denver. They didn't have a first round pick this year. So yeah, they just had a very lackluster showing in the draft. Another team, the Falcons, they kind of reached out Michael Penix, even though they just signed Kirk Cousins, and all the following pitch lackluster. No real eye-catching names there. Nobody of high regard, in my opinion. And in a similar fashion, the Dolphins, outside of Chop Robinson, everyone else is kind of weak. Not gonna lie to you. So I mean, Jalen Wright is cool. Jalen Wright is cool, but I mean, I'm not really sure if that's really gonna be a game-changing pick there.
Yeah, the Falcons kind of shot the Raiders in the foot. I feel like the Raiders were on the Michael Penix hype train, and everybody thought that Michael Penix was gonna be a Raider. And then out of
Mm.
nowhere, with the eighth overall pick, after spending $100 million on a QB, the Falcons pick up Michael Penix. I mean, I get the logic of building up for your future, but you got what's that guy's name? Purple Dorito bag.
Kirk Cousins,
You got
party, spicy Doritos. Yep.
Yeah, you got Kirk Cousins for at least 4 years, and you already paid him $100 million. Um, I just don't understand why you would draft Michael Penix. And some people.
So
Go ahead.
yeah, so I've been talking to some pundits uh ever since the trade. I mean the draft occurred, and essentially they can move off Kirk Cousins after 2 years, and they'll just have to eat about 12.5 million in dead money. So, from my understanding, that's about enough time to get Michael Penix situated and ready to start. My only pushback there is he'll be 27 by then. So it's like if he doesn't hit, oh, pardon me, 25. He'll be 25 by then. No, 26 because he's turning 24 in a couple of days. So yeah, he'll be 26 by then. So if he doesn't hit, I'd be a little worried because that clock runs out very fast. But it seems like they have enough faith in him to wait it out and let him develop. And this is the first time that QBs are sat for a few years. I think this situation is unique because of the contract, but if they were willing to do it, they definitely have a plan in place. So that's all I can really say.
How do you think Kirk Cousins feels about it?
100 million guarantee, $50 million signing bonus. I just told him my Achilles. I mean, hey, whatever happens, happens. And I think that's another. I think that also plays into why they drafted him. And the re-injury risk on the torn Achilles is very high. But then again, why would you pay him that much if you didn't have faith in his durability? So it's like I'm sure there's a method to the madness, but it's a madness nonetheless.
Yeah, it's definitely a madness. And then I just mentioned the Raiders. What are they gonna do at QB here now?
Aiden O'Connell.
Do you think they were pissed to see that Michael Penix went at 8? Do you think they were thinking about trading up at any point?
I'm sure it crossed their mind, but I think Antonio Pierce is realizing that. Well, there's a whole new regime in place. They got a new GM. They made the interim coach the long-term coach. So this is going to be a prolonged build. And if Aiden O'Connell seems to be that guy, I think they're going to rock out with him. But if not, they can get the QB next year or the following year.
If they're smart, have an absolute stinker of a year, get Shador Sanders next year.
You think? Yeah, could be, could be.
Or even waited out the year after that, get Archie Manning. Or 2 years after that.
Just because one's father was an NFL pro doesn't mean their son will have the same amount of
It's, it's,
success.
it's not his
And
dad, it's his
granted,
uncles. It's the uncles.
yeah, and granted, in this case, Arch Manning will be his uncle, but still doesn't necessarily guarantee NFL success.
Hey, what I've seen from those NFL families, the McCaffreys have already shown it. Tends to run in the family. I'm just saying.
Good point. Good.
We've
Good
seen it with
point.
the coaches too, right? The Harbaughs also all
Good
got
point. Good point.
national championships on collegiate or NFL levels.
All right, you're cooking a little bit.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if he does have that talent. That's all I'm saying.
Hmm.
Okay, but who are your two early Super Bowl picks.
Uh, I think the Chiefs are gonna repeat at this point.
What?
I'm just not sure if there's really much competition. I always see Baltimore is there, and Dallas is always gonna be in the conversation, but they still got the Grim Reaper, Thanos. It's kind of hard for me to see somebody just beating that team
Hmm.
with any like certainty.
That's fair. I would say here, I'm gonna pick two AFC teams and two NFC teams. In the AFC, Ravens and Chiefs. In the NFC, Lions. I don't think 49ers make it that far next year. Um,
Hmm.
I think it's going to be similar to, for my reasoning for the 49ers, I think it's going to be similar to when, what's it called? Like after Lamar's first season and second season when he took the league by storm. People kind of figure out how to play you, and everybody kind of, I wouldn't say like they undermined Brock Purdy, but I think Brock Purdy's gonna get the respect he deserves. So people are gonna view him as a viable threat on that level.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
and then also in the NFC, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles bounce back, and then bonus points
Ooh.
for the Packers as a sneaky dark horse.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That is indeed interesting for sure. For sure.
Hmm. But let's do a deep dive. Let's really dig deep into this draft. We kind of highlighted some things, but let's talk about more things as we think about them positionally. So let's talk about QBs first. Um, so we know that the Bears they were spoken for with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. It was a toss up which way it could go. Um,
Right.
but at least for me, when I'm looking at this, I think that Drake May is going to be a bust, ultimately.
Hmm.
Um, Personally, I've never believed in a UNC quarterback to do well in the NFL. Yes, he's shown 2 years of good, solid numbers, but as we tend to see, the ACC doesn't typically produce high powered football talents, and if anything, they're not coming out of North Carolina, a basketball school, in my opinion, from what
I,
I've seen so far.
I can provide a couple outliers.
Go
Tre-
ahead.
Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun
Whoa,
Watson,
whoa, whoa!
Lamar Jackson.
I said North Carolina,
You said ACC at first, but
and I said they
okay,
don't come out of North Carolina. But
okay,
I'm gonna let you cook, cause
okay. Uh, on the UNC tip, I think you're right because Sam Howell. Mm, but yeah, outside of Sam Howell and Drake May, I can't really. And Mitchell Trubisky stinks. I know he went second. I know he went second. I know he went second overall, but he stinks. So yeah, I'll credit you there. But yeah, ACC in general, I think the conversation changes a little bit.
like who are some of these ACC teams that you would say have been QB factories?
I wouldn't say factor. Well, Clemson, I guess, with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, I wouldn't say really factories anywhere. I just think every now and then you'll get a gem at the out of the ACC.
What
Go ahead.
what happened to Clemson this year? I feel like they used to be in the conversation for Final Fours and things of that nature, but they didn't really produce on the basketball front or the football front this year.
Yeah, they kind of had a stinker. I think Coach Sweeney just kind of was rattled, kind of spiraled out real very early. There was just some issues with the coaching staff very early in the season, and they kind of showed itself throughout. They ended up going. 9-4. They won the Gator Bowl, so it wasn't like an awful season, but it wasn't a little shaky at times.
Yeah, they lost to teams like NC State, Florida State, Miami, and Duke.
Yeah, Duke one was a shocker. Florida State, I think this was before the Jordan Travis injury, and Jordan Travis is nice. I know he fell in the drive due to his injury, but he's nice. They just got their future. They just got their future following Rodgers. It's not Zach Wilson, it's Jordan Travis.
Okay. And then to cut more into these QBs, who was your dark horse? Actually, rank how you think successful these QBs are gonna be. What are your projections?
In order of success, I would say Caleb, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. What was that, five?
JJ don't exist.
Oh, I'll put JJ at third. So yeah, Caleb, Caleb, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, JJ, Bo Nix, Michael Penix.
You think Michael Penix is gonna be the worst QB out of this draft?
Just due to situation, yeah.
Mm, I disagree with you. I think it's gonna be Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. I
And
think.
Drake May last?
Oh yeah, Drake may last. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And the reason I say that is, I think a larger conversation is how good a team actually is at developing QBs. Um, and out of these teams, I think that the Broncos have shown they don't have a good propensity for developing QBs in recent years, and they're not giving Bo Nix much to work with. And unless you're like a Matt Stafford level talent, you're not going to survive years and years of piss poor resources unless you're truly that high level of a talent. And even with the piss poor staff, Stafford still had Megatron.
Can't say you're wrong there.
Um, with Drake May, people, you can argue that the Patriots developed Tom Brady, but I think the bigger thing was that Tom Brady was one of those players of Michael Jordan's caliber, and he was a team player. He took the pay cuts and he worked and worked and worked. He he was of that stature that literally his teammates would stay near him where he vacations. So whenever he wants to practice, they would pull up and practice. I've never heard of that before, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's just psycho. But that was developed over time. He wasn't like that as a rookie. He didn't even start as a rookie. So
That's true. I could be wrong. I don't think I will be though. Um, with the upper echelon, I think JJ McCarthy is going to be a great QB, and he's young. Give him a few years, let him develop. JJ McCarthy, I think, is going to be a household name. Jaden Daniels, it's going to literally be a battle of the dual threat black QBs with Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels. And honestly, I'm probably going to try and go to that game. Not this year, but probably in a few years after
don't
there's
forget,
been some development.
don't forget, Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson. There's a lot of other bright dual threats.
Yes, but I'm talking about within this close proximity.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
DC and Baltimore are like this. You feel me?
Good point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Right. So, and honestly, I'm happy for the Commanders to finally have like to start building up that initial foundation for what can be something that can be a potential run in a few years. When you look at who they have in supporting them with Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson builds teams to win. He did it with the Lakers. He knows how to facilitate.
Kinda.
But we know Magic Johnson generally as a winner. That's what I'm trying to mostly allude
Yes.
to. Right.
Yes.
And he stepped more in the ownership realm, but most importantly, he knows how to lead a winning culture. Right. And he may not be the face of the operations or things of that nature, but people who know how to win tend to have a better sense of picking out people who more align with their values and mission and things of that nature.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. And I think to divvy up franchises, there's franchises that are based on getting a lot of money, a la the Cowboys and the Knicks and the Yankees. Yankees are a bit of a hybrid because they win too.
The Knicks just all right.
I'm talking about historically.
Okay.
You know, the Knicks are good this year, but it took a long time.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And then you have your franchises that are built on winning in more recent years. You have the Patriots, Chiefs, the Warriors, and so on and so on. And then you have your teams that are just generational stinkers and they hurt their fan bases for long times. Formerly the Lions. Now probably for the foreseeable future, honestly, the Panthers. I don't know how their situation is going to change, but that's how it's looking right now. The Browns have hurt their fan base's feelings for a long time.
The Jets.
Yes, the Jets. Oh, my fault. I don't even know how I forgot them. Yeah, teams of that nature. I don't even know if Cardinals. Would you call the Cardinals a losing team too?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah. Oh, the Bears. I don't even know how I missed that.
Bears, yeah, a little bit of both there too.
But yeah, and ultimately, yeah, I think that Jaden Daniels is being put in a good position. I think Caleb Williams is being put in a good position, but he's ultimately not going to live up to what he needs to be. I think when there's that much pressure and out the gate you're expected to start and perform at that high of a level and that high of a caliber, you're going to start seeing some cracks in the armors, and people are going to emphasize the flaws over the good things, especially when you're in a big market like Chicago, that it'll go very quickly from the fans loving you to the fans hating you, and then kind of you being suppressed from any media attention until you actually perform on that level. And we've seen many players get suppressed to the point that we used to, even for example, the former Bears QB, Justin Fields. He was seen as a generational talent, and now he's being looked at, like going into the draft, he was looked at as a generational talent, but now he's looked at as a backup who can potentially start one day. It's a radical shift, and it happens to you quick. They give you a few years to pop off, and then it's on to the next. And the way the Cowboys are saying they're all in, it looks like the Bears are actually all in on making sure Caleb Williams has all the weapons. So he actually has no excuses to not produce. So if he doesn't produce, what's the excuse? He's young. He needs time.
It's a possibility. He might need time.
Yeah. But the one thing for sure is you're not going to be able to blame your team and the assets you have because you have everything you need to succeed. If anything, the Bears have gone the farthest out of any team to make sure an incoming QB has everything they need, followed by probably the Commanders. The Commanders have done a pretty good job, I think, as well.
I think this is the best situation a number one overall pick has ever gone into. I think Ryan Poole should call the Panthers GM and say thank you twice a day, because Yeah, this is just they were already a fringe wild card team without Caleb Williams, without Keenan Allen, without DeAndre Swift. You add without Roman Dunze, and you add all four of those pieces, and you keep that defense where it is. It's not really much you can expect besides a good amount of success.
Fantasy is going to be exciting this year. I'll tell you that.
Indeed.
I'll tell you that much. But let's talk about the running backs. What did you think about the running backs of this year?
I think most of the running backs in this class, I know they weren't really talked about much. I think the landing spots were pretty decent for all of them. You had Jonathan Brooks go to Dallas. I felt that was etched in stone for a while. Jalen Wright, super speedster out of Tennessee, going to Miami. I like that pick there. Isaac Garendo. Oh, wait, I skipped about Blake Corum going to LA. I thought that was a good pick there. Home team. I think he's from here. I don't know where exactly, but he's from here. So shout out. I like that pick pairing him up with Kyron Williams in that backfield. Very good pick up there. And then Isaac Garendo out of Louisville. Super speed, super athletic, tested very well at the combine. And you go to San Fran, where if you look at their history, Garrison Hurst, Frank Gore, Christian McCaffrey, Ricky, did Ricky Waters play for the 49ers? I think so. So yeah, they have. Did I say Roger Craig? They have a history of just having a great running back. So this is no different.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I didn't know too much about the running backs going into this draft. The main one I knew was Blake Corum, just because Michigan won. Um, and I'm interested to see how things pan out. A lot of these teams have had interesting running back situations, minus the 49ers. Dallas, I feel like it's been a long time since they've had a breakout running back who's really dominated since like those formative years of Ezekiel Elliott. Um, Miami's had good running backs this past season, so it's going to be interesting to see how they mix and match this rotation. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives them like three or four running backs back there who are actually good
Well,
to go to play.
we drafted the running back in back-to-back drafts. A-Chan was a rookie last year. Jalen Wright is a rookie this year. So we
Yeah,
definitely have a plan in place.
and A Chain was solid. A Chain was very very solid.
Yep.
Blake Corum, like you said, I'm interested to see what he does. The Rams always seem to put together a good offense, so that'll definitely be interesting to see. And then
Yep.
Isaac Garendo, I think the big thing that we saw was Christian McCaffrey is the RB1, but they need a competence. Well, the competence is not the word. A backup who they can trust because yes, CMC is gonna get most of the chunk yardage, but you need to mix somebody else in there because when that usage rate gets high, running backs get hurt.
Indeed. Indeed. Well said.
Yeah. Wide receivers. First and foremost, as much as people want to say this was a QB draft, I think this was a wide receiver draft more than anything. But I'm gonna let you break it down.
Yeah, obviously Marvin Harrison Jr., Ron Dunze, Malik Neighbors, the top three. Everybody was talking about that. But if you go deeper into that, you got the likes of Ricky Pearsall. I thought he was going to be a day 2 pick, but I'm glad he went in the first round because he's a uber athlete. Xavier Worthy, fastest 40-yard dash in combine history, going to play with Patrick Mahomes. Do I have to say any more?
99 speed.
Uh, Keon Coleman, Lab McConkey, Troy Franklin, Adonai Mitchell, Roman Wilson. The names go on. It's a lot of wide receivers in this class. So many you can keep an eye out for. The talent profiles are there. Some of these landing spots are a lot more favorable than others, but nonetheless, the class as a whole is just very, very well put together.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I couldn't have said that better. Um, I think a big thing when looking at this wide receiver class, it's gonna be the test of time that really shows what was best for this wide receiver class. Because Honestly, as I look at things now, if things follow the current trajectory, I'm looking at these LSU wide receivers. I think Malik Neighbors is going to be an early, oh, this is the best wide receiver, but as time passes, Brian Thomas Jr. will be the true best wide receiver of this draft. Um,
Hmm.
he takes some time to develop. He's with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has a solid QB. I think ultimately this will push the Jaguars into the next level over the next few years, and they'll be more competitive. They firmed up that O line a bit. They got more wide receiver weapons, and it seems like when you look at a QB, who's QB?
Trevor Lawrence.
When you look at Trevor Lawrence, everybody knows Trevor Lawrence is a great talent, but it seems like at every step of the way, there's been some type of hiccup, some type of lack of support, or just crazy fluke injuries that kind of disrupt their season. Um,
Right.
if they're able to stay healthy, the O line is able to gel together. I find it very hard to see how this team is stopped offensively from a passing perspective. Their running back, I'm blanking on who their running back is right now.
Travis Etienne.
Oh yeah, solid, also solid. So
Yep.
I think a lot of what's going to be big for them this season is the O line gelling because you have the talent at QB. Just how are you going to protect him and make sure he has time to get those deep balls out? Because you got Travis Etienne in the backfield. You have a solid tight end. You have a lot of solid wide receivers. It's going to be interesting to see how things shake out in that regard.